So wanted to give you a framework for how to decide how to build your light hanging grid. Especially if you get into these blade style lights, they have different hanging points. Typically they want 4 points of contact, and so you might have to think through this. An easy way that we've found is just to simply, if you have your light on site, just start with it on the ground or on your grow bench, and you're going to get down, you're going to see that this manufacturer has 4 points of contact sort of on this center frame. And so what we're going to want to do is somehow build to that. One thing I want to point out is that you will notice through these videos that we're using different methods to attach the lights to the light hanging bars. So in some cases we're using zip ties. In this case we've actually just used wire, and in some cases we're using the manufacturer supplied actual hardware. So we leave that completely up to you. You'll just kind of notice we're doing different things, whatever's convenient for us, and you're welcome to do the same. The most simple form of light hanging is actually just the single bar. This is suitable for HPS, it's suitable for your strip LEDs, and actually many of the bar LED, or sorry, the blade LEDs will come so that you can hang them off a single bar as well. It comes with a pretty big vertical cost in that case though. So what we've got is just a simple loop coming down from our light lifting cable, and a bar strung through the loop, and then you've got your lights simply hung off the bar at whatever height you want to hang them. This is a great configuration. We have built this one out as long as 104 feet, which is a great application for greenhouses. One variation with our lighting grids on our standard lift is you can at times, if the weights are right, carry 2 rows of lights on a single lift. So we've set one up here with some strip LEDs to show that, to where we've just created a light hanging grid, and then we go ahead and we hang the actual lights on the hang bars. This can be done with HPS, this can be done with the strip LEDs, and as we'll show you in a minute, this can also be done with a canopy or a blade style light. So what we've done here is a couple of strip LEDs hung on our 2 different light hanging bars, and this can be made to any width that's suitable for your, within reasonable bounds, any width that's suitable for your grow. In this case, we've got a blade style light that has a center frame. It has a fairly narrow footprint as far as the way that it wants to be supported. So we've just made a very narrow grid here, and we've been able to support all 4 points of this light on our lengthwise light hanging bars. So just a little bit of creativity. We built this off of the floor so that we could lay everything down and decide what length it needed to be, and then it comes together really quick. For this style of light, there's a couple of different ways that you can hang this. The way we've done it here is we've actually run our long hang bars right down the outside frame of the light, as you can see. One way to hang this particular type of light to use the manufacturer's attachment points and their hardware. So we've reconfigured our grid here and brought our crossbars down so they cross at the same locations as the manufacturer's attachment points. And then we've just simply used their wire hangers to securely mount this light. Okay, so this last grid is where things get a little bit complicated, but it does show how we can take just the hanging points off of a machine, and we can put a pretty big grid and a lot of lights on it. So what we have here are 2 blade style lights going side by side, so it's effectively a double row. We've actually set this grid up so that we were attaching to the manufacturer's attachment points. This grid is probably unrealistically narrow, but we wanted to show you how this could be done. So again, it was as simple as laying out our longer hang bars down the sides, deciding how long our crossbars need it to be, and then just bolting it all together and attaching the lights. An explanation of what's happening as the lifting cables come down from the machine in this rig. You've got a threaded stud on the end of the cable, an eye bolt with a stopper nut, you've got a quick link, and then you've got the lanyards. These go out at an angle and help to stabilize the grid. And so those are the basics of how this grid hooks to the machine. So depending on your ceiling height, you can see how the machine uses up some vertical space. And so one thing you can do is, this is simply a female fence gate hardware that's typically available for most hardware stores. We've used that to shorten up the span of our lanyards. And what that means is, as a general rule, we would put our lanyards to the outside of the grid. But that would mean our lanyards need to be longer and we use more vertical space. So we use this hardware to be able to secure the lanyard in closer to the center line of the grid and use less vertical space. Further to our discussion about dealing with what vertical space you have in your room, sometimes you run into a situation where between the lifting cable and the lanyards coming out to your grid, you're going to run out of vertical space. One solution for that is to actually drill your crossbars directly in the center so that your threaded stud goes right through that center crossbar, and that way we've saved anywhere between 12 and 24 inches of vertical height in the room. There is a trade-off, and that is that your grid is now hanging on a single center point, and so you can get some instability in that. You can make sure your lights are very well centered. We've had growers who've just added a few ounces of weight on one side or another to make things balance, but this is a great solution for a vertically challenged room.